RVF Productions presents the finest in martial arts training videos. Introducing Richard Huck Planas, 8th degree master of Kenpo Karate. As a true first-generation student of Ed Parker's, Huck trained at Master Parker's Pasadena School in the late 60s, and as a black belt, he managed and taught at the Pasadena School until 1975. Huck served for over 10 years as the Executive Vice President of the International Kenpo Karate Association until Master Parker's death. Huck Planas teaches not only the how-to, but the why, based on the rules and principles of the Kenpo system. As Master Parker said, "He who knows how will be the student. He who knows why will be the instructor." Huck Planas is available for seminars internationally. For booking information and information on other RVF videos, call 1-800-356-VIDEO.
Okay, now we're ready to get into the threes. Let me talk about the threes a little bit here before we get started. Remember, we did the ones and the twos, and those are what we call the basics and exercise forms. They teach you the rules and principles of motion. Everything was reversed and opposited, and remember, that's the definition of Kenpo forms. The definition of Kenpo forms is Kenpo forms, don't represent an imaginary fight like most other people's forms. We say Kenpo forms teach you the rules and principles of motion, that everything has a reverse and an opposite, and gives you an example of that. Also, our forms are categorized in their motion, as the ones and twos were our basics and exercise forms, and we had our mirrored right and left mechanics and everything. Even when we get into the technique forms, which we start now with the threes, we still have those mirrored mechanics, and I'll point that out in short three. As you learned the rule before, we do always strong side first. But then in short three, there's two left-handed techniques, and you're supposed to figure out why that is, and I'll point out why that is when we get there. And that's just for the mirrored mechanics to catch the opposite side. Now, what we mean is if we do a right punch, then somewhere we're going to do a left punch. If I do a right inward overhead elbow, I'm looking for the left. So this is what we're looking at. Even though we're doing techniques, we're still trying to match those mechanics. Okay, now, the categorization of the threes are what we call the grab forms. So every technique is against a grab. Okay, then we have what is the major power principle of the form. See, so the power comes from, in this case, marriage with gravity. And the reason being, say, what is the major weapon of the form? The major weapon of the form is the elbows. We generally strike down with the elbows, so down says marriage with gravity. So our three tracks in the form, we say it's the elbow set, it's the marriage with gravity set, and it's the grab set, or starts the grab set. So long three takes the process a little farther. Okay, now, when we do the form, remember now we're using the salutation, and when I teach the salutation, I teach it the way we originally did, based on strong side first, so there's no extra moves. There's a lot of people doing it different. It doesn't really matter, as long as you understand and know what you're doing. I teach it the way it was taught to me by Mr. Parker with the original whys and how comes. So we always stay strong side first. So in the salutation, I'll just move back to basic center here. Right is the strong hand, so this is the one that shows the numbers first. So we're doing short three. So I'm going to cut the knuckles in half. This would be long three. So I bend the knuckles to the halfway joint to represent short. Now what you have to do is a lot of people don't pull in the little finger, and if you do this, it looks like short four. So I have to get rid of the little finger. So I do that by pulling the finger in with the thumb. And then when you do this, see that disappears, and now you only see the three. So this is another thing that we want to do. So anyway, strong is right, so the right hand shows the numbers first. The back hand is together, not spread, as the background, and it doesn't touch. Generally we say touch means to add, like we do in 6. We say 5 plus 1 is 6. So we spread the background, means to add. To close it, it becomes the background, and we don't touch. So the background, the short three comes first. So we just go the short three with the right hand showing it first, and then we pull it in to the little finger of the left hand and change sides to be on the opposite side. This in itself is a coordination move of doing this. Now, this doesn't mean, like a lot of people think, that we're going to do the form on both sides. The way Mr. Parker used to explain this is when you see a lot of the Chinese come in and do a salutation, when they walk into a ring to do a demonstration, they would take and move from this corner all the way to this corner to salute the whole audience. Or if I was going to show something, especially like when they used to say, I'm going to do this form, but this is an awfully long form, I don't want to do the whole thing, I'll cut it short or leave part out. So people that are study their system, watches them do the form or whatever they're going to do, say, oh, he did it wrong, or he didn't do the whole thing. See, so you have to have some kind of, again, sign language to represent that. So when they do the salutation, when they come out with a fist, they would hang out their little finger like this to say, okay, I'm going to leave part of this form out, or I'm going to do it wrong on purpose. So all you people out here who study my system, don't think I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing this on purpose. See? So I had to show the people on this side and on this side what I'm doing. If I just did it to one side, the people over here couldn't see. So what's he doing? What's he going to do? See? So it's the same thing. So when I would do this, I show the people on this side of the room I'm going to do short 3, and I show the people on this side of the room I'm going to do short 3. And then we come into the salutation, out and back and in, and then we close always to attention. Now the first move, the technique is called destructive twins. You should know destructive twins, but let's go over it in the footwork on the angles. We're in basic in the middle of the X. We step in to make our U punch in the face and the bladder groin area. Then I make my shift off, straight off is my universal position again, and then lock into my outward with my forward bow stance change. So there's 3 stance changes there to that position. We say neutral, neutral, forward. So when we come in, we go neutral with the U punch, neutral to 130 with the universal basic position, and then lock into the outward in the forward bow position. Okay, so one more time on that. We go neutral, neutral, forward. Then the poke is by itself, 4-finger eye shot. This is to make him reach up to grab, to give you the handle. Then I grab and pull punch into the horse, basically on the 130 line in the horse facing center. So let me do that one more time. From the close, we went in, universal or U punch, off with our universal position, roll into the outward block, poke, and pull punch. Okay, now from here, I'm going to go back to 12 o'clock in my cat position, and I have this roll up. Now, you can think about this in many different ways. A lot of people teach it as an eye flick. Okay, can be used that one move for that, but remember the principal reason for the form is grabs. All we're doing here is getting your hands to the cocked position. We're going to do crashing wings. If I was standing normal to do crashing wings, I can't elbow unless I put my hands up. You have to have your hands up so that crashing wings can happen. So all this move does, this transition move, is get your hands up. So we wind them up one way, like doing a punch, to unwind it the other way for your torque. So that eye flick thing was just a way to get you to cocked position basically correctly. So you can think about doing that, say it's there or it's not there, it doesn't matter. If your hands have to be up to do crashing wings, that's what matters. So again, let's go into transition now. So we go in with a U punch, move off, lock into the forward, poke, pull punch. When you catch, you cock, is that principle we learned earlier. So now I'm hitting my cock, or my cat. My cock position has to be up to make the crash, see. So all before, to point this out again, when we cat, we cock. When we cat, we cock. This is to hit sideways. Now I say, when I cat, I cock to hit down. See, so that's the timing and the principle of how that moves. So let's hit that one more time. We go in the U punch, off, transition, poke, pull punch. When you catch, you cock. So I hit the cat, my hands are up, out into my horse, wham, the elbows crash. Same timing. When you catch, you cock. See, same as 2. Around behind in a reverse bow, and make sure you draw your 7 with your foot. See, my foot is drawing a 7. See, if I move to center line, you'd see my 730 line here. I come over and then back on the 730 line to draw my 7. Okay, so I'm over here, doesn't really matter. When you catch, you cock, back to 7. Now I can move neutral with the elbow. That's your first transition. Neutral on the elbow. But we're going to cock this hand at the same time up. It's going to go down. So when this hits, we're going up, and then my forward bow, the hammer fist comes down. See, lots of different variations on this, with all kinds of little push moves at the same time, a lot of different things here. There's two separate moves with two different stances. So when we come off and you get your base, you neutral the elbow, and then forward bow, and this hits downward with the hammer fist to the groin area. Okay, now from here, I'm going to come back to the line. So I'll be coming from 1:30. I'm going to move to 3 o'clock. So I make my transition of my V-step again. My hands are in position, and here goes left-handed twirling wings. Okay, and remember I told you there's two left-handed techniques in this form. There's left-handed twirling wings. Okay, now we learned the principle of strong side first, but we have these two moves, so we say why? Well, remember we're looking for those mirrored mechanics. I say, what am I doing here? I'm doing a left inward elbow, horizontal, and a right vertical outward block. See, or in twirling wings it's a check, it's not really a block because it's not used against the weapon in motion. See, and I said, well, if you think about it, this relates to the first move. See, so when you went in here, we said, okay, here's the left vertical outward. If I don't do a right, it's missing. See, so I have to do that. So if I do twirling wings left-handed, it would be just like doing the opposite side of destructive twins and getting the left vertical. See, so this is what we're looking at, some of the reasoning behind why we have these left-handed moves. Okay, so anyway, we're back to 3 o'clock with the twirling wings position. Now let's do that again from the beginning. See, then we'll let you review that. So we just close from our salutation. We go in the U-punch, move off, forward bow, poke, pull punch. When you catch, you cock. We're getting ready for crashing wings, center line to 12, square, crash. When you catch, you cock, get behind, draw that 7, neutral with the elbow, the hand goes up, forward bow with the hammer fist. Now we draw the 7 with the right foot and go into our left-handed twirling wings. Okay, now this can be forward or neutral. There's a rule that we teach is when you use the front hand by itself, you're neutral. When you use the rear hand by itself, you're forward. When both hands come into play, you can be either way, and we have that in the form where you're both ways. Sometimes you're neutral, working both hands, and sometimes you're forward, working both hands. See, so that really doesn't matter here. Okay, so if you like to forward here, you're fine. If you like to neutral here, you're fine. But again, it depends on range. The application is what dictates all your motion, what you really need to do. Okay, so that takes us to the outward block. I want you to play with that and get those first 3 series of moves down. Let me repeat it one more time for you. When we close, we're going U-punch to 12. Move off to 130. Lock into your forward. Poke. Pull punch. When you catch, you cock. Crash. Draw your 7. Elbow. Hammer. Draw your 7 with the other foot. Left-handed twirling wings to 3. Okay, work on that and we'll be back with the next series of moves. Okay, I hope you got that down. Now let's do it again and then we'll add the next part. So we'll start from center. We just close from the salutation. We'll go in U-punch, move off, lock, poke, pull punch. Back to 12, set, crashing wings. Draw the 7, neutral, forward. Draw the 7 with the other foot, left-handed twirling wings. Okay, now to get to transition point, back in the center of the transition point of the intersection, I'll be moving to 130. So I'm facing 3 o'clock. I'm going to step to 130, but so my back's not to the camera, I'm going to turn this around and make it from this angle to the same position. So from my elbow, I step to 730, and now I'm going to do circling wing. So the arm goes overhead to trap the arm, and then into the poke. They catch upward elbow, open the center line, reverse hammer fist. One thing you want to watch here is on your application of the hammer fist. I see a lot of slide down that's not a hit. Now you'll see that when I point this out on the elbow. From the elbow, I'm doing this. See, from the side, you see it. Elbow, and just like this. This is like punching the floor. You see a line of force going down and not this way. This is what we call false travel. I think I might have covered this before in the basics tape, the false travel. You see all this motion, but it doesn't help because this is not the line of force. That's the line of force. So you have to bring the hand out to hit on that line of force. So when you make the elbow come up, your hand has to come across you to move in that line and not just punch down and be basically a dead line. Okay, so once again, our motion from 3, we're going to 130, setting, over, trap and poke, upward elbow, open the center line, and reverse with the hammer fist to the groin. Okay, that's basic standard circling wing. Now we come to crossing talons, but this, like some of the other techniques we have, where we have 2 versions in the form. So in short 3, when we do crossing talons, we have what we call the fulcrum version, and in long 3, we have what we call the strike version. And 2 different things or ways to get into the technique with the reasoning behind it. So anyway, to the form, we're in our hammer fist. The person grabs, so we just pivot from a reverse bow to neutral and pin the hand to your wrist. So that's one solid move. When you pivot, you pin. You go. We generally slap our wrist to show that grab. Then we roll up on top and we step through and work the fulcrum where the elbow goes to elbow to pin on the hand. Okay, now that's the basic version here. So you can see this. Let me bring in Rick to do this on him. Okay, come from this angle here, Rick. So I just did circling wing. Come right here. I just did circling, stand square. I just did circling wing, but I might have missed it, and he grabbed my hand. See? So what I do is I just pivot here and pin the hand down, making sure it stays. See? And pin the hand, and then my roll puts the chopping part of my hand in place, and then my left arm is pushing the hand. See? And that pushes it in right into the lock fulcrum version of the technique. See, there's no strike involved here. The standard version, remember when he grabs, is we roll and we do bam, an upward elbow, and that's the strike version. There is no strike in this version. It's the fulcrum version. So once again, from the hammer fist, he grabs. I say, okay, make sure he stays there, and then roll in with the fulcrum version of the technique. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's how we do that. So let me go that one more time from the twirling wings. Go to 130 with circling wing, the elbow, the reverse. He grabs, pivot and pin, show the roll, step in. This is the takedown. Then elbow to the temple. We go to the heel palm claw and anchor the elbow, keep him down, and make sure you do an inward overhead elbow and drop into your kneel, not an outward overhead elbow. Let me face this way so you can just see in the technique. I see a lot of people from the elbow do an outward overhead elbow. If you do an outward overhead elbow, there's nothing holding the person down. We have the person bent over. We want to keep him in check. Okay, and let me bring Rick back in here to show this principle and how we can get in trouble on doing crossing talons. So I just get to the position here of crossing talons. And if I do my rip and do an outward overhead elbow, I go up and so does he because there's nothing holding him down. And he bends that elbow and I lose my teeth. Okay, so if he raises up, really I'm helping him. If I'm doing this, I'm pulling him up to get this elbow. So when I elbow, I say, okay, I anchor the elbow and I say, stay down, stay down. See, this is what sets my inward overhead elbow from the outside in, not the inside out with an outward. I want to keep him down and work an inward overhead to do the technique, okay? Thank you. All right, so once again, I'm working that technique. I made my pin, the takedown, the elbow, you add the claw, then go outside, holding him down with an inward overhead elbow, making sure we drop in a kneel. This elbow, I want a lot of Meredith gravity here. on the drop. Reason being, the next move is scraping hoof, but it's what we call the short version of scraping hoof. We put these two techniques back to back because we just showed you the use of the drop. We dropped with this elbow. Now the guy comes behind to grab you in a full Nelson. So we show the use of the raise, and that brings in the principle. We say, when you're low, you go high, and when you're high, you go low. So here we're already low, so we're low, we go high. So our cheat comes, wham, and we go against that, stiffen, lock, and throw your head back for your headbutt from the rear, see, to show the use of the raise. So we showed in crossing talons the use of the drop. Now, wham, come up, and the use of the raise. And remember, we say cheat the weak, kick with the strong. So the left foot is the weak. It's the one that cheats, but only a little. And then when we go into the scraping hoof part, your right foot is the one that kicks. So cheat the weak, meaning left, kick with the strong, meaning right. So let's put that series again together. I'll go from this angle, then I'll go back and do it the way it belongs. From twirling wings to 3. Go to 130, over, elbow, hammer. Pivot and counter grab, fulcrum version of crossing talons, elbow, keep him down, kneel. Stiffen, head back. This is a rear bow. It's the only place we use a rear bow. Kick, kick, stomp. Now the rear bow is nothing but a neutral bow, so you see this. We have neutral, forward, back to neutral, and reversed, where your feet change angles. From neutral to forward to neutral to rear, we just rock back and leave the feet on the same angles they're on. So coming out of the horse, when we do scraping hoof, I just do that. See, and it was like puts me on a rear bow on an angle, and this what shifts my weight, gets my weight on the foot I'm going to balance on, and lines up the heel kick. See, so the heel kick comes in, then the knife edge and the scrape stomp. We do this in a horse for the form. If you know the technique, you know that that will scrape the leg, but it won't stomp the instep. So the difference is the stomp in the technique would be across the instep as opposed to the horse of the form. So the form stays in the horse again. So when we made the cheat, you went rear, kick, kick, and your stomp is into a horse instead of kick, kick, and scrape, stomp across the instep. And that's the difference there. So let's do the whole form up to that point. See, we'll just go U-punch, come off, lock, poke, pull punch, cat and cock, crashing wings, draw the 7, neutral, forward, draw the 7, twirling wings, step, circling wing, elbow, hammer, catch, crossing talons, elbow, kneel, and then the cheat in. Now, remember the handwork, if I explained it. You punch down, that's what breaks the hold off, keeps the arms from getting in the lock, and that's going down while you're raising up and throwing your head back for your headbutt. Then you drop back down into your rear bow, kick, kick, stomp. And this makes me face 1030, which is the direction that the whole rest of the form is done on, back and forth on the 1030, 430 line, except for the last 2 moves that will cross that from 130 to 730, and I'll explain that when we get there. So we'll do that one more time, and then I'll let you work on that part. Okay, so we just close from our salutation. So we go destructive twins, in with the U-punch. Move off, forward, poke, punch, cat, crash, draw the 7, neutral, forward, draw the 7, twirling wings, step to 130, circling wing, up, reverse, fulcrum version, crossing talons, pin. Take him down, elbow, and drop. Scraping hoof, use the raise, wham, rear bow, kick, kick, stomp. And we're facing 1030, okay? Work on that and we'll be back with the next part. Okay, I hope you've got that. Now again, let's repeat it from the beginning and add the new part. So we just close from the salutation. We go destructive twins, U-punch, move off, poke, pull punch, cat, crash, around behind, neutral, come in, twirling wings, set, over elbow, catch, elbow, claw, sink, sheet, sink, kick, kick, stomp, and now we're facing 1030. So you see this, I'll move up to the intersection. You notice I'm looking at the little line that goes to 1030. Here, the next move is called fatal cross. When I went in and I came out of scraping hoof, remember I used my rear headbutt from behind. Now I'm going to do that from the front because of my position. The man coming in with an attempted tackle or two-hand grab. If I come into my cat, now the motion here is going to stick with our rule because we're in our horse here, of moving in and going in on this, Ving into our person. When I make my cat, my hands are going to come out and form the shape of the crane hooks to the point and pull back from the point to the wedge and get my hands behind me. I want your hands to go back behind, get a long line of travel, remember, and turn from there and come right back in the same lines with your diagonal middle knuckle fists up under the solar plexus or diaphragm or in the lower ribs. Just comes right back into position. So when you made your move, you kick, kick, stomp, then you make your cat, and then the hands turn and you slide in, bam, to hit the person. Now if you do that and you're looking at him, he goes bam and busts your nose with his forehead. So you know this is going to make you bend over. So you better bend over and give him the headbutt instead of him giving you the headbutt. So now we had it from the rear, now we do it from the front. So when we do the technique, remember you come in and say, okay, bam, and make sure you drop your head for that hit. See, then we come back out with the crossed, the double back knuckles to the jaw, and then into our scissor poke to the eyes. So we're just pumping that. We're going 1, 2, 3. Let me do that again from crossing talons position. So we just made our move here. We up into the raise, rear bow, kick, kick, stomp. Now we're facing the 10 o'clock. We come into the hook and slide in with the middle knuckles. Come back, back knuckle, and scissor poke. Now from here, person comes along. So remember, we're on our line we're going to use. Left-handed grip of death. The second left-handed technique, left-handed grip of death. The hands are up. Don't drop the hands to have to pick them up again to hit. Now I'll show you what I mean. I see this a lot. You drop the hands, have to pick them up again to hit. See, the hands are up, leave them up. So your hands are up here in position. We come up, and then you settle with the hit. So to think of doing this, so you just hit, they're already up. Don't put them down to raise them up to hit again as an extra move in a reverse line. See? So once again, facing the 12, we went into our cat with our hook. Now that happens in one. We go and come back. Remember, when you cat, you cock. So the cat, the hands are cocked behind me, ready to come in. See, that's your timing there. See? When you cat, you cock, wham, then you come in with a strike. Then the double back knuckle and the double poke. From here, the left-handed grip of death comes in, into your kneel. Right hand is in the right kidney, left hand is in the groin. Okay, then we come up and catch under the nose to fulcrum back, anchored elbow, and into the heel palm, facing 430. Okay, so I'll do that again. From scraping hoof, we're facing 1030. We come into cat and cock, slide in, don't forget the headbutt, back knuckle, scissor poke, hands up, drop into the kneel. This is your knee checker, outside the leg, remember. Up to the nose, fulcrum and heel palm. Here's where your right hand continues around behind, like it's in an arm lock, but we're not in arm lock position yet. We have to transition through that. So go ahead and try to put that series of moves on it, and we'll come back with the next series. Okay, hope you got that down. Now let's again take it back from the beginning and we'll add the new set of moves. So from the close, we go in, destructive twins, come off, horse, crashing wings, around behind, twirling wings, circling wing, crossing talon fulcrum version, scraping hoof, rear bow, and fatal cross, left-handed grip of death, around behind. Okay, now we're going into locked wing, but we have a funny transition here. So you can see this, I'm going to change normally, and remember, I'll be facing 430 here. I'm going to go to 430 and do it back facing 1030 so you can see what the hands do. So when I made my fulcrum up and into my heel palm, so you can put the hand here or take it on around to the lock position. It doesn't really matter. Here's where you go around behind yourself and get to 1030. Now, the transition, I'm already in the lock position here, but the man over there is the one that has me. So I transition through the realistic position. So I would say if I turn and stopped here, then the lock would be, and then I would step and do the technique. So that's the position that we transition through, but that's a one flowing move. In other words, if I say I started on the diagonal, then grab would happen, and then I would move, it would be correct. So I'm coming off the line, again, into position, the hand goes around behind, then I transition through this position and keep moving back into the elbow, claw through, around the arm, do my takedown, lock up as I step back, let go with the backhand, come over the top, wait till it gets 45 degrees to the front, then start the knee sandwich and step back down. Okay, one more time. When I went into left-handed grip of death, I went around, the arm goes behind me, I make the transition to the elbow, claw, takedown, step back and lock him up, start and sandwich, and come down on the line. Now in position, I'm really going to be doing that from the 1030 line, so here's where we were, and I'll take it from the 1030 position through that new series of moves. We went in from scraping hoof, we went to the cat and cock, in with a headbutt, back knuckle, scissor poke, left-handed grip of death, around, and then back to 430 with locked wing, take down, lock him up, and head back to 1030 on the line. Remember, that's our last angle. Now, again, here I also pointed out that we're doing left-handed grip of death. This is the second left-handed technique, and I showed you why we did left-handed twirling wings, left-handed grip of death. We're still trying to match positions, and the last one, or one of the moves here you won't see until you get there, but when we're doing left-handed grip of death, see, what am I doing? I'm doing my left hammer fist to the groin and my right hammer fist to the kidney. Then I'm coming up and hooking the nose and anchoring this right elbow to raise him up to hit. Okay? Now, when we did crashing wings, we came off and we said, here's the right hammer fist to the groin. So I have to have a left hammer fist to the groin or it's missing. So that matches up with crashing wings, hammer fist to the groin, hammer fist to the groin. Also, this left or right anchor elbow, see, matches up. You can think of it two ways, as the anchor up on crossing talons, or when we get to the end, when we do striking serpent's head, this is where real matchup comes in, is the anchored left opposed to the anchored right for the strike. See, and that's how that matches up. If we know the techniques, and when you learn them, you'll understand that. Okay, so let's do again, put that whole series together from scraping hoof. We went in from our crossing talon position. We went up, rear bow, kick, kick, stomp. We're facing 1030. Cat and cock, in, back knuckle, scissor poke. Left-handed grip of death, around to 430. Transition through the elbow, take down, step back, lock him up, and sandwich and plant. Okay, now add that move and we'll be back with the next one. Okay, we should have that down now, but let's go back and review from the top just to put it all together. So we'll start from the center. We just close from the salutation. We'll go in, destructive twins, and off, poke, pull punch, crashing wings, around behind, twirling wings left-handed, circling wing, fulcrum version, crossing talons, and around. We're down, raise up, scraping hoof, kick, kick, stomp, fatal cross, in, back knuckle, poke, left-handed grip of death, around behind, transition all the way around to locked wing. Take him down, lock him up, and hit, and foot comes down. Now here's our transition point. So you see this. When you make the sandwich and your foot comes down and hits the ground neutral, we put our hands back behind us and we're going to go into cross twigs. Now this position matches the same position in the form if you did it together as fatal cross. The difference is point to base, or we say base to point, or pull to push. So when we did fatal cross, I came into position and I come from the point and I pulled on my frictional pull back. The hands were behind me. I turn and go in with my strike. So this position, say, okay, the reverse of this would be from point to base, would be from base to point. So now we hit the same position and pull from the rear instead of pulling from the front. So when we hit and our hands came down, we are in position, so we step and pull, and then we pivot in with the elbow. And this is just the left side of locked wing. Go around, cross him up, elbow, match, sandwich, and back in your horse. Let me do that once again. Take through the whole series of moves so we won't get lost. Go from the 10-30 line. That's our long line in this form. Remember, so you'll see this. In the twos we have, especially like long two, we have a long line. That's a real long line. And in three, we have a real long line. So in the two, our long line is our 7-30, 1-30 line. If you go back and do that, you'll notice that. Now in three, short three, we have our long 10-30, 4-30 line that matches up with the big X, we call it. So when we come in and we made our cat, we in, shoot, scissor poke. Grip of death, left-handed, around behind, all the way around, elbow, claw, around the arm. Step back, lock him up, sandwich, step down, the hands are behind, step and pull, pivot, cross him up, and sink in the opposite kneel as crossing talons with our left elbow. See, the position on crossing talons was our right. Now we have our left into your kneel. Okay? So, again, the new series of moves. From the 10 o'clock, we hook, in, back knuckle, scissor. Left-handed grip of death, around, locked wing, drop back, hit, hands behind, pull, cross twigs, hit, sandwich, and down in your horse, facing now, if I was in position, you can see it, facing 130 instead of in the horse, facing 10-30. So now this is the line, just like it shows on the floor, establishes the X. We did everything up to this point back and forth on the 430, 10-30 line. If I don't add 130 and 730, we won't have our X established. So I have to take at least one step above the line and one step behind the line to establish my X. Okay? And before we do that, add the last two techniques here and close it out. I want you to work on what we did. So again, let's do that one more time. From facing 1030. We go into the hook, middle knuckle, back knuckle, scissor poke. Left-handed grip of death. Okay. Locked wing. Back. Hand cross twigs. Pull. Elbow. And down. Okay. Sandwich and horse. Got that? Work on that and we'll be back with the next series. Okay, I hope you've got that down, but let's go over it again from the part facing 1030 when we just came out of scraping hoof. So now we're in our horse facing 1030. So we come into our cat and cock, slide in with fatal cross. Left-handed grip of death, going to 1030, back around, locked wing to 430, take down, coming back, and into cross twigs. We throw down, and into our horse. Now this will be to be on center line. This is where we stopped. Now the next technique is wings of silk. Now, to point out a common thing in wings of silk is from normal, this is a technique that needs a prefix, and it's the only technique or one of the few techniques we teach you with a prefix. The prefix is one of the 7 things we do to a technique. Remember, we can add, alter, insert, prefix, suffix, rearrange, and delete. Here, we're prefixing is we need to do a move because the guy has us in this double arm hook tight and we can't move. People try to do the stomp the foot, the pinch the nerve in the leg, the heel up, and the elbow, wham, all in one move. You can't do that. Okay, there's too much going on and it defeats the purpose of the technique. We need to do a move to relax the person. So we're saying this guy's got us in an arm hook. Say, I can't move too well. What can I do to maybe allow me to move? Well, let me see. I'll stomp his foot. Wham! That worked. Now, wham, I can move. See, so the stomp of the foot is the prefix to the technique. It's a separate move that'll let you start moving. So it has the and then in it. We go one, stomp, wham, and then up. That's the correct timing to use on that. So anyway, from the angle now, being on the line, on the 1030, 430 line, but facing 130, the person has us. We came right out of, remember, we came out of our sandwich into the horse. So here we say stomp, then heel up behind and the rear elbow, then the circle around with the break, the pivot break. Now you notice the circle that I'm doing here, the pirouette or the pivot, this move on the line. Okay, that's the move that we're looking at and the motion we're using. So one, heel up, and then around on the line for our break. Okay, it's using the torque out of that onto the break. Okay, now that moves us up the line. One more time, I'm going to do that again, face so you see the alignment. We just came out of our sandwich and we're in our horse. Stomp one, heel up, elbow, and pirouette out with your catch and break. Now again, I'm facing 130. So to move back to center line, so you can see the pattern. All of those moves again, remember we're on the 430, 1030 line. Now my last 2 moves come in, conquering shield and striking serpent's head. Conquering shield is going to move me my 1 step above the line on this line, and striking serpent's head is going to move me my 1 step behind the line to establish my X. Okay, so that's why the line comes in off the angle. I see a lot of people work this straight and never complete the pattern. Remember, we have to add the 45 on this side to complete our pattern. So we just came out of the break. Now the grab comes in on conquering shield. We make the pin on the hand, the kick to the groin or knee, and the hit to the arm, all one move. Now, we want to go here as far as alignment. This is called, we have blocking punches and striking punches. This is a striking punch. So we're not blocking because the hand is frozen to us. We're striking that elbow and cocking your hand up to drive the arm down. If you put a jog in the line, a lot of people try to punch the person and then raise your arm up to come down. If you do that, That's an insert to the punch, but it makes the cock a separate move. And that's what you don't want to do here. You understand that if I go forward and hit, then I have to raise my hand up to come down. That's not a line that I want. If I went forward, to use it properly, would be like a frictional pull into snapping twig. If I'm on the horizontal line. What we're looking for here is the vertical line up and down. So when we came off the position, when we're striking up and you're dropping your weight, you want that to be one move. Now if the person was tall, where you could hit the arm and hit him in the face or chin, and then drop the hand, it would be used correctly to staying with the vertical line. So that's what we're looking at if we're going up, down, we say up, down. So again, we go up, down with the heel claw. Now I'm going to drop back behind the line with striking serpent's head. Now you should basically know these techniques, so we're just putting them together in the form. We drop back, you get your base, and the wrist bone, back knuckle, whatever you want to use behind the head of the massoid. Now comes that other anchored elbow that we were looking at to match up with left-handed grip of death. We now do to raise the head back, then our forward bow transition of our strike to the throat, and then step up to close, and then we go into the salutation to close it out. There. And down to bow. So let me do that ending part again. To finish the X, we just came out of our break. We go up, down, back behind the line, hit, fulcrum, transition, hit, close, and right into the salutation, back, out, and round, close, and then bow. Okay, put that together, and we'll be back and do the whole form in a second. Okay, now we've got all the pieces, and we should have them put together in the form to complete short 3. So let's go back, and we're going to do the whole thing, salutation and all, and go through it one time. Okay, so we'll start from attention. With the numbers on, right hand and left hand. Then we the warrior and the scholar come together and go forth to fight, back, to pull the country back together. We have no weapons, we hide our secret, and pray for forgiveness if we have to use it. We close to attention, and then we start in, move off, poke, punch, cat, crash, around behind, hammer, twirl, and circling, up, catch, dash, in, down, scrape, rear, and in, 2, 3, left-handed grip of death, around, locked wing, down, lock him up, pull, elbow, down, sandwich, stomp, up, around, up, down, back hit, strike, and close, right into the salutation, and we should basically be back to start. That's it. Thank you.